Hey everyone, Regal Reviews here. Yeah, I posted my Survivor recap yesterday, and normally I don't usually do a back-to-back video about Survivor, but last night I definitely think I should make another video. As fans of the show, I think we're all still trying to process what exactly happened last night. So this video, I'm just gonna talk specifically about the tribal council last night and what went on between Varner and Zeke and kind of the aftermath and like what's going on now, and share my feelings about what happened last night. So for those of you who don't know, spoilers alert, Varner knew that he was on the bottom last night because his only alliance member, Sandra, was voted off last week. So, in his words, he said he was going to do anything he can to make sure that he got to stay in the game and that he was going to do anything he could to get there. And he said that, this is before they went to tribal, Varner said that, I wonder if people would be so receptive to Zeke if they knew this secret about him, something I picked up on. And I wasn't really sure what he was talking about. I assumed that maybe that Ozzy and Zeke were on a quote-unquote alliance, which I really didn't think so. I mean, I think they were in an alliance as like a whole group. I didn't think they had their own like alliance together. So I was wondering what Varner meant by that, and judging by the fact that right after the immunity challenge they didn't go to commercial break, so I knew something was going to go down. And also the fact that tribal council started very early last night, I knew there was going to be some sort of showdown. I knew this was going to be more than just some kind of tiebreaker at tribal. So we get in tribal and Varner makes his pitch to get rid of Ozzy, and he said that Ozzy's like the complete package, and Ozzy is. I mean, you see Ozzy, he's like one of these like survivor gods. Like everybody loves Ozzy. He's has a great social game. He's very strategic, and he's a challenge beast. So if Ozzy makes it far, it basically everybody else will be just sitting there watching him win immunity challenges. So his pitch was basically to vote him off, so I mean we have a chance to win. So Varner then says to Zeke, well, not really to Zeke, but the whole, well, kind of Zeke and the whole tribe, says that, why haven't you told people you're transgender? I'm like, I was in shock when I heard that. I'm like, am I seriously watching Survivor right now? Has this seriously happened? And I think everybody that was at Tribal was shocked that this came out of Varner's mouth. And I just felt so bad for Zeke because that was none of Varner's business. And everybody stood up for Zeke, and that said a lot about their characters. They all let Varner have it and tell him how wrong he was and tell him that that was Zeke's business, not everybody else's. And Zeke was, well, not Zeke, Varner was saying that he didn't mean this to be like a vicious attack. He didn't expect people to have this reaction, and that's when he started to break down. He did say he was sorry to Zeke, but I think what Varner was sorry about is the fact that people didn't have they didn't have the reaction that Varner wanted. Varner knew, well, Varner wanted them to be disgusted by Zeke and to be like outraged that he quote unquote lied to him, which he didn't lie to them about it. And for people to say, because I'm reading like different comments on different Survivor groups saying that this was just part of the game. Varner just said that. Varner knew exactly what he was doing. We saw before Tribal that he had this planned out. He knew before Tribal that he was going to out Zeke in front of everybody. And then at one point, he said that I thought he was open about, I thought he was open to his community about being transgender. And then Sarah pointed out, well, if you thought he was so open, why did you feel like you had to share it with the tribe? And I agree with Sarah. I mean, why did he have the why did he feel like he had to reveal that to people? And I still go by what I said before. I feel like Varner truly isn't sorry. He's sorry that people didn't have the reaction that he wanted, and Probst pointed this out perfectly. He said to Varner that you do realize that you didn't just out Zeke to the tribe, you outed him to millions of people. So I definitely don't feel a bit sorry for Varner. I definitely feel like he deserves all the backlash that he's probably getting, because he knew exactly what he was doing, and he is probably he is a hypocrite because he is gay himself, and he outed somebody of his own community. I mean, he wants someone doing that about himself or anybody else, so why the heck would he do it to Zeke? Varner is definitely now the cruelest villain to come out of Survivor. And to talk about Zeke for a minute, I mean, he really kept it together. I was so surprised by his strength, because many people in that situation, if that happened to them, they'd be sitting there, you know, in tears, and rightfully so, because that's just an awful thing to happen to you. But with Zeke, he kept it together, and he basically, he was saying that, you know, he wanted to work with Varner. He thought that he and Varner were connecting, and he was honest with Varner, so he was, like, surprised that he said this to him, but he also kind of forgave him in a way, and, like, but I honestly wouldn't be so forgiving if that happened to me, but, Zeke didn't cry or anything. He was just kind of taking everything in, and Zeke, he revealed the reason why he didn't tell anybody he was transgender, because he didn't tell anybody on his previous season he was transgender either. He didn't want anybody to know, because he didn't want to be known as the transgender guy on Survivor. He wanted to be known as Zeke and I agree with him. I mean, he doesn't want to be labeled as the trans guy on there. He wants to be known for his social play, his strategic gameplay, and honestly, this doesn't change my views about Zeke. I love Zeke. He was one of my favorites last season and this season, and he was also one of my picks to win last season and this season too. I always admired Zeke for his social game. He always, you know, got along with everybody. I don't think he really made any enemies out there, besides, you know, his kind of rivalry with David, but that was just part of the game. His strategic game, because he's like always thinking, like, what can I do? And he always has this way of aligning with people, like getting them to align with him. So yeah, my heart goes out to Zeke, because nobody deserves that. I could not believe that somebody did that to you. And also, what I've been reading on social media is that this is Survivor, that both Zeke and Varner signed up for this, and that their quote-unquote rights could be exposed and everything. I'm like, but this goes above and beyond that. I mean, people sometimes do what they can to make it to the end. We've seen somebody lie about his grandmother dying. We've seen a ton of people making fake idols. We've seen people blindside each other. We've seen people steal food from the other players. Those are all bad things in the game, but those things I consider part of the game because they didn't affect people's lives now, because Zeke deserved to come out when he was ready, not when Varner wanted to just be an asshole and out him in front of everyone. So I definitely think this went above and beyond. I am really glad. Now, before this even happened, I wanted Ozzy gone last night, but I'm really glad that Jeff just went right to the vote and said it's no question who's going home tonight, right? And Varner went because he definitely deserved it. And he kept saying the whole game, oh, he wants to make it to the jury, he wants to make it to the jury. This is like the upteenth time he's on Survivor, and he just wants to make it to the jury. Well, guess what? You blew it, Varner. I mean, I honestly think if Varner didn't out Zeke in front of everyone and he would have made his pitch to about voting Ozzy off, I definitely think Ozzy would have went home last night. I definitely think he would have had the numbers with Zeke, Andrea, and he probably would have persuaded Sarah too. But I also have to give major props to Zeke's tribe members because, as Sarah mentioned, they all have different backgrounds and everything, but not one of them just sat there silent. They all supported Zeke, and they all stood up for him and let Varner have it. Andrea was visibly upset. She was upset that, and crying that Varner was so cruel and did this to him. We saw Debbie and Ty were both yelling at Varner that you shouldn't have done this. This was Zeke's choice to come out when he was ready to. And Ozzy was quiet for a while. I think he was like kind of trying to process like we were what was happening. And he even said to Varner, this was uncalled for. You had no right to do this. And I even have to give major props to Sarah because she said that, she grew up in a background where people aren't as open to the LGBT community. And she said she never saw Zeke as trans. She always saw Zeke as Zeke. So she said that Sarah's metamorphosis in the game, she's able to grow as a person, and she'll never look at Zeke as the person that he was afraid to tell about and tell his tribe about. She'll always see him as Zeke, and I really think that spoke words. I definitely, that really kind of restored my faith in the show, and that was a very heartwarming moment that they all stood up for Zeke. And I think what we can take from last night's episode is, like I mentioned, Zeke's strength. He said that he's no hero to everybody, but I disagree. I think Zeke is a hero. We can take from this Zeke's strength and how he was able to handle this situation, even though when there's some xenophobic people out there and some assholes out there like Varner who want to make life more who wants to make life worse for other people and wants to just basically be an ass like Varner. No matter how many xenophobic people there are out there, there's always a tribe of people that's always going to have your back. So I definitely think that Zeke is a hero, and we can all learn from him, and we can all learn from his tribe, minus Varner. So yeah, I'm in shock like you guys are. I definitely hope you guys can send positive vibes over to Zeke's way this morning. I'm just still in shock that Varner did that to Zeke. Like I mentioned, I don't feel like this is part of the game. I feel like that he wanted people to be disgusted and be hateful towards Zeke, and when they weren't, that's when he realized, he's going home for sure now, and that's what he's sorry about, that people didn't have the reaction he wanted. Didn't work. So I'm hoping that, Ozzy, Ty, Sarah, Andrea, Debbie, and Zeke, I hope they can be stronger as a tribe because of this, and I hope that they can band together and be a great tribe post-merge and stick together. Zeke hopes that from this experience that he can inspire others out there, and I'm definitely think he's inspiring others, whether you're trans or not. for the reasons I mentioned earlier, that about his strength and everything, and his tribe of people supporting him. So yeah. So if you guys haven't seen Survivor last night, definitely watch at your own risk, because it was definitely an emotional episode. I hope you guys enjoyed my video today about well, basically this video is to honor Zeke. I wouldn't say I wouldn't even say enjoyed this video, because it's about the tribal, and tribal's just awful. So I hope you guys could just check out my recap. I hope you guys watch Survivor next week. It's the merge, so that'll be fun. So if you guys want to check out Survivor, it is on Wednesdays, 8 p.m. on CBS. Till next time, stay regal and hang in there, Zeke. Zeke strong.